former U.S. ambassador to Canada, co-author of the book, The Art of Diplomacy, Strengthening the Canada-U.S. Relationship in Times of Uncertainty. And that would certainly be a good term for we're going through right now. Bruce, always good to see you. Appreciate you joining us from Aspen. Your take on this story, sort of back and forth, whiplash this morning, the U.S. lifting the tariffs.
So you've got to think of everything in political terms. The whole reason these tariffs went into place to begin with is that the Trump administration thought they had a political advantage here. But quickly that dissolved. And what happened is the aluminum industry, the Chamber of Commerce, and we already had a shortage, believe it or not, of beer cans in the United States. And so everybody started attacking the administration politically. And then when they realized the retaliatory impact that Canada would have politically, also economically, but politically, they immediately backed down. They knew this was a disaster. And I have word that there's several governors had reached out to the White House and USTR over the last week saying that this is going to hurt the economy at the border. Please, please do not do this. And so, look, they backed down. And kudos to Canada, and kudos in this negotiation that took place in a calm and respectful way, but strong from Canada. And, you know, look, it's just craziness to see what the Trump administration is doing because their decision process is all tactical and political. So you see the same thing, and then they have errors. They don't think long term. They don't think about relationships. They don't think about implications of a pandemic. And so all these decisions, these short-term decisions, because he doesn't really have a core inner group advising him anymore, and the people who are there don't have a longer-term perspective, that he's just making mistakes one after another.
Bruce, you mentioned the governors that you were in touch with here, and I'm curious about that list that Canada had on, different products that were going to be targeted by these retaliatory tariffs. An election less than 2 months away, and how much of that was all, you talk about how politics is so front and center here, how perhaps the Trump administration realized they had overreached.
So look, here's the thing. The Trump administration didn't take the time to get a download from this previous ambassador or the State Department or anybody with regard to the importance of the U.S.-Canada relationship. But I could also have told them, look, if you get involved in a trade dispute with Canada, they're not going to back down, and they're going to be pretty tough in it, so you better be firm in your view. We saw with country of origin labeling that was happening in beef. And I was a personal witness to the retaliatory measures that were beginning to take place and then proposed to take place. Look, we shouldn't be in this place. We're the best trading relationship in the world. And I think the damage that this administration is doing is going to take a long time to repair. And that's why I've been working hard to get Americans living in Canada to vote for that change. And, look, I can only say it's a good day that the U.S. backed down. It's a bad day that the U.S. had to go to the brink of a huge trade dispute and to be, pushed around and backed down by both the industry, both folks within the United States and externally.
I got another question for you. It has to do with those states like Michigan and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and you know how crucial those were for Donald Trump.
I do.
And whether you think now, Bruce, over the next 6 or 7 weeks on the campaign trail, we will continue to hear the president go after Canada, whether it's on dairy or other things about that trade relationship, because it's sort of an easy target for Donald Trump.
I don't understand it. I mean, he has used language from the beginning of his administration all the way through. Remember, it was Peter Navarro who talked about a special place and you-know-what for the Prime Minister of Canada after the G7 meeting, how they tried to squeeze you on steel and aluminum, how the threats with N95 masks and threats of troops at the border and threatening your auto industry and the comments about now your deputy Prime Minister, then Foreign Minister, Chrystia Freeland. Look, I don't get it. I don't understand why he's doing what he's doing to our best friend and ally. Will he do it again? Well, just a few weeks ago, he talked about dairy, and he talked about that sometimes friends are worse than foes. Well, dairy represents, first of all, such a small percentage of our total trade. But even from the beginning on dairy, the U.S. had a trade surplus in dairy. And so, look, I think at the end of the day, This guy's going to try to do whatever he can to change the news from 200,000 people having died from a pandemic. And that's what he's going to focus on. And if it means that Canada gets a poke in that process, I hope the Canadians now realize that we're in the political world of the last 60 days of this campaign. And I'm hopeful that we can reorient ourselves very soon afterwards.
I know you got to go. One last thing here, Bruce, before we say goodbye. The idea of this relationship in times of uncertainty between Canada and the U.S. Do you think after 4 years, the Trump administration has done long-term damage to that relationship? It's going to take a while to kind of repair.
So think about it this way as a wound. If you have a small cut, it heals pretty quickly. The deeper the wound, the longer it takes to heal. And he has done some significant damage on this wound, but it is something we can heal as long as we elect Joe Biden president of the United States and get Americans who live just across that border in Michigan to go over and votefromabroad.org and vote. And I mean, I just can't tell you how important this is, but watching the last 24 hours, I think most Canadians will really appreciate the importance of changing that. The Pew Research poll just came out and showed how Canada, I still don't even know who the 35% are, but it was a 35% positive rating of the United States at this point. And, that comes off of record highs of like more than double that. And we were very pleased to have very high ratings between our two countries under the Obama-Biden administration. And I just hope that we can start repairing this wound as soon as possible.
Bruce Heyman, former U.S. ambassador to Canada, joining us today live from Aspen, Colorado, with his take on the story. Hey, Bruce, wonderful to have you as always. Thank you.